Lastly, we'll just have a look at the jack panel on the back of the mixer. I can't get a real good look of the live unit simply because it's close to the wall and I don't want to move it out and disturb it, but that's the jack section, and I'll use a drawing to go over what's specifically there, but you can see there's a lot of clean jacks back there. You virtually have a real powerful patch bay on the back of this mixer. I'll start with the master section here, which covers this area here, and I'll start with what's up top here. Each of your 8 program groups has 2 output jacks, so you can feed those program groups and have them simultaneously patched to at least 2 different things for each program group. You also have 2 output jacks for each of the auxiliary sends, 1 through 4. You also have 2 output jacks for each left and right of the Stereo Master A and Stereo Master B. And then right here, each of these is a pair of jacks for the program groups. One is a send and one is a receive, so those are your inserts. So yes, each of the 8 program groups has an insert patch. Rather than being on a quarter-inch TRS jack, it is on an RCA send jack and RCA return jack. Right next to that, you have direct access to a number of buses if you want to insert something directly behind any of the aux faders. You can do that. There is a sub input for each of the 4 auxiliary sends. There is a sub input for the monitor mixer, so you can patch something in directly to this switch, and then the aforementioned spare jacks are also in this sub in section. And you also have sub input jacks for each of the program groups, so you could use the 8 program groups as a completely independent 8-channel submixer for something if you wanted to do that, or directly patch certain channel outputs directly over there rather than patching internally in the mixer. There's just countless things you can do. The test tone generator has 2 output jacks, so you can route those directly to something if that is befitting. A lot of questions on the M500 series mixers about whether they've got balance capability. Well, they do, and it's even better than most mixers, whereas normally your balanced outputs are going to be tied to some set of outputs, whether it be your stereo outputs or your program group outputs. Well, the M512 and M520 feature this balance amp section, which is a completely independent -10 dBV unbalanced to +4 dBu balanced section. 8 independent unbalanced to balanced converters. So you've got 8 RCA input jacks that are -10 dBV, and you have 8 +4 dBu output jacks on XLRs. And that means that if you want to run if you have a need to run your auxiliary sends balanced, you can do it. You take one of your auxiliary send output jacks and run it to 1 through 4, and then you've got your balance output there, or your stereo outputs, or let's say you want to run all of your program groups as balanced outs and submix that way. Well, you can do that. Each of the channel strips, of course, has an XLR input jack, which is for microphones, or because of the 30 dB pad that's on each of the channels, you can also use those as balanced line level inputs. I'll talk about channels 5 through 16 first, because they are all the same. At the top, you've got your send and receive jacks, your insert patch section. You have a direct out jack, which takes straight off of the channel fader. You also have an access jack that's directly after the head amp. So it's a pre-fader, pre-EQ, pre-auxiliary section output for the channel. And you also have your additional inputs, your line input and your tape input. And then there's your phantom power switch. Channels 1 through 4 are a little bit different. They have the tape input jacks, but as I mentioned earlier, channels 1 and 2 have high impedance instrument inputs on either 1/4 inch jack or RCA jack. Everything else is the same. And then of course channels 3 and 4 have the phono input jacks. Everything else is the same. You also have a ground lug there for the phono preamp. And then over on channels 17 through 20, you have your 2-track A and 2-track B inputs instead of your tape return inputs. So I think that just about covers it. Very, very versatile, powerful mixer.